Hey, it's Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic, and I've spoken to a whole lot of Christian apologists. And one thing that I've experienced over and over again when speaking to them is that they don't seem to ever be actually seeking the truth. They seem to operate from a position of thinking that their arguments can never, ever be wrong. And if an argument can never be wrong, it can never be truly honest. Christian apologetics function more as a defense mechanism in order to make already religious people feel better. This is not a truth-seeking process. It's become an entire industry designed to close minds and to keep people trapped. Let's talk about it. In order to be intellectually honest, I think we can lay out a few simple criteria that are absolutely required in order for a person to be considered intellectually honest. And these things are a willingness to revise beliefs. You see, honest people are always open-minded to changing their beliefs. Consistent standards of evidence. This keeps the argument grounded in reality and is foundational to being intellectually honest. Clear definitions. We should not change the meaning of words to suit our own narratives. An openness to falsification. We must always be willing to admit when we are wrong. And we should avoid special pleading, such as the classic one that I hear all the time from Christians. You know it. The Bible is the inspired word of God, while all other books are not. Now, how do Christian apologists run away and try to escape from these simple criteria? Well, they move the goalposts. An example of this would be when Christians say God answers prayers, but when you point to data that demonstrates clearly that there is absolutely no difference in outcomes for people who have prayed to God and those who have not, they quickly shift to God does not answer prayers in measurable ways, and that his plans are mysterious. So the goalpost moves from a measurable claim to a completely unfalsifiable one. The initial claim becomes absolutely meaningless, and they move on to something else. They make unfalsifiable claims. These are arguments designed so no possible evidence could contradict them. They say things like, God exists outside of space and time. Now, it doesn't take a genius to understand that if this was the case, then no evidence can be used to actually detect him, and no absence of evidence can count against him. This type of claim is again meaningless because it cannot be verified or falsified by any known human process. It's an intellectually dishonest argument. They use selective skepticism. They get hyper skeptical towards evolution, cosmology, or any other religions, but not toward their own claims. If they had the same skepticism toward other people's beliefs as they do their own, they might lose their faith. And this is just not an option for them. It will never be an option. They need to maintain their own beliefs. So instead, they tend to become very presuppositional and very aggressive toward other viewpoints and very soft on their own. They redefine words mid-argument. This can be very frustrating. Words like faith, evidence, morality, and truth all shift and change. They will go from a natural everyday definition to a theological or philosophical one very quickly. As soon as you point out problems with their argument, it becomes very hard to keep up with this type of shifting and twisting of logic. Another completely frustrating thing when dealing with Christian apologists is when they run away from confronting truth and seeking real answers, and instead they use the mystery card. When cornered, they retreat and say things like, God's way are higher than ours. What this does for them is it ends all inquiry rather than advancing it. It shuts their minds off. It avoids a difficult and uncomfortable question. They don't have to face reality when they do this. Apologetics is mostly about protecting Christian identity and making them feel good. And it's definitely not about discovering truth. Many apologists are trained debaters, and they're on a mission. Their goal is persuasion, not accuracy. Some of these people even work for institutions that pay them and reward loyalty to doctrine. And they really have no interest in any true intellectual risk-taking. They are pre-programmed and have made a vow of loyalty that is far more important to them than intellectual honesty can ever be. They are under the authority of churches, and they're trapped in the web of their belief system. Now, let's contrast apologetic tactics with the skeptical approach, which is far more open-minded. As a skeptic, if I'm wrong, I want to know. I can and do change my mind very often, and I have absolutely no fear of doing so. It is not frightening to change your mind, folks. I find it exciting to learn new things and to evaluate different viewpoints. This keeps my brain active. And at my age, that is important. I do not believe things based on loyalty or because it may make me feel good. I want to always seek the truth, regardless of how it makes me feel. There are some things that are just uncomfortable, and that's okay. With skepticism, claims require evidence proportional to their scale. If someone tells me they bought a new car, I can easily believe this based just on a friendship, a text message, or even a photo. All of that is acceptable to me. Now, compare this with the claim that a man rose from the dead 2,000 years ago and controls the entire universe. Hello. This claim completely defies physics and biology. And I'm sorry if I'm not so gullible to believe it based on someone telling me something or a very old tradition. Mystery is never an answer. And when Christians say God is a mystery, this is a total cop-out and explains absolutely nothing. If a religion can't survive honest questions, the problem isn't the questions, it's the religion. Being skeptical is always better than just believing things without a good reason. This applies even when the person talking to you is persuasive and seems intelligent. Question everything, folks, and trust your own thought processes. Learn to think critically and recognize manipulation when it's being used against you. If you like these type of conversations, please like, subscribe, and comment. I really want to hear from you. And if you want to support my channel in a very small financial way, you can always buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. Until next time, think rationally and be happy.